Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final episode of Homework Help for the 2025 season. I am Crystal Cabre. I will be your host for today's final lesson that is a little, let me share my screen, a little less traditional, I guess. If we have traditional on Homework Help. But yeah, welcome to Homework Help. I changed it to say storytelling techniques for all levels instead of, the whole 16 plus thing because I realized that this world is a little lawless right now. So I'm just going to say it for all levels so I don't get in trouble with anything at all ever. But welcome. Anyway, the expectations that you may have for this is that we are going to go over highlights. We're going to go over examples. Today, we're actually going to go over a lot of overview of everything that we have gone over the entire season of 2025's homework help experience. And I'm going to give you some genuine personal experiences and practical tools today. Like I'm really hitting for our grand finale. I'm really hitting all of the stops today because, as usual, we're not getting into technical explanations. We're not getting into the weeds of grammar. We're not teaching specifically how to write. We are talking about storytelling. We are talking about the art of making stories. If that was not clear, let's make it clear today. Today's to-dos. Again, like I said, we are going to basically overview everything we have gone over in the last, was it 6 months, 8 months? I'm not counting it, but since February, since we've started this journey together, it is now mid-October. We have covered a lot of different aspects of the fundamentals, but we haven't really like gone in order. So we're going to break them down today so everyone has a clear idea. So we can all leap into the next month together all understanding the same stuff. Then we got some storyteller tips, which is going to be a boatload of fun. And then, of course, our take home exercise and our wrap up for the year. Anyway, fundamentals, people. The fundamentals of storytelling apply to all stories. I do not care what kind of story you're writing, what medium you're using. All stories have a core. All stories have these things that you need to hit. Otherwise, you're not going to have a story or it's going to fall flat in some type of way. And you can use all, some, whatever you're feeling fancy with of all the things that I'm going to talk about today. You can take them all or take a piece. You can use whatever you feel is best, but I personally believe you need all of it. So just especially if you are preparing for next month, which for those who may or may not know, November is National Novel Writing Month. So it's 30 days of consistently writing so you can get a first draft out. It's more like a challenge rather than anything else. And it is a very hard challenge if you've not tried it for yourself. And usually October is used for preparing for such a heavy task. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about today are in the mindset of we already halfway through October, and some people may not even understand that Preptober was a thing because before this year, I didn't even know it was a thing. So, if you're a little late, don't worry. We're here. If it's not even October when you're watching this, don't worry. We're here because this is a great way to get you to start thinking about what you need as like a checklist for your stories. So, this is not going to be a long, lengthy video. It's going to be very bing bong bing because a lot of the stuff you can find at nauseum. It's not just me talking about it, hopefully. So let's jump right in. So all of the things that we've talked about this year have had to do with storytelling. We've talked about dialogue. We've talked about the difference between a story arc and a character arc and why you need both of them. We have talked about high stakes and why high stakes are important in a story. We have talked about different ways to approach world building, whether it is the, essential fundamentals, or if you just want to, make a map or a vision board just to, get your creative juices flowing. And of course, finding your why as a storyteller, as a writer, as the person who is a creative trying to make a difference in this world, blah, 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 blah. Whatever your why is, we had a whole conversation about it. So if you are, confused, concerned about any of these specific topics that you see on your screen, I have a video already made for him because this was basically what we talked about all year long. So if you want in-depth explanation and examples, because we used a lot of examples at the beginning of the year and that was fun. Those topics are available for you in, I will be making this all into a playlist for the 2025 season. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff specifically, we already talked about it. So we're not going to go over it today. What we're going to do is we are going to go to Storyteller Planet and I'm going to show you the easiest way that you can understand the fundamentals without me having to break down every little bit and piece of it. So we're going to take a field trip. We're going to go on planet for a second. I get so excited. Such a fangirl. Anyway, this is the new homepage for anyone that has been keeping up. We had to make it a little clearer that the guild hall is the hub for everything. So now it's the main page. But why are we here? So if you go to the Land of the Learning, you have a tab called Fundamentals. And it'll load. And voila. Everything that you need to know about the fundamentals of storytelling, no matter what you are using to tell whatever story, this is the meat and potatoes right here. So if you have any questions, just go to Storyteller Planet and then Land of Learning, Fundamentals. If you just click Land of Learning, Storytelling Fundamentals, same spot. But we don't have time to go through, I think that was like 12 different fundamentals. We don't got time for all that today. Today is quick. Today is bite-sized. So the short list of the fundamentals, the 5 essential things that you need to tell any story so you're not faltering and floundering about, is where are your characters? Who are your characters, the main characters and the characters that support the main character in the story? What is the story? So the overall beginning, middle, and end, and, the beats in between. What is your character's journey in that arc? Because, like I said, character arc, story arc, they're 2 different things and they're very important and you need to have them. The theme, what's the flavor of this story? The hook, why do we care? What is it that we are using to draw a reader or viewer in? So just to break it down a little further, when you're thinking about your setting, you don't want your characters to be living in a void. You want them to feel like you stepped outside and you know exactly where everything is, just like you stepped outside your own home. And when you're writing things like fantasy or sci-fi or epic mythical things, you may or may not know all the details at first, and it's very good to sit and think beforehand because as someone who is writing, I call it Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings level fiction and world building, I should say, rather than just the word fiction. If you're starting to write and you don't know what planet Effie looks like, and you have no idea what, if they got mountains, if they got deserts, rivers, geographical locations, because like honestly, if you're trying to start a world from scratch and start like from like day 1 of the world being made, there's no McDonald's corner to use as like a landmark, you feel me? So like if you're writing your story and it takes place in, Guam, and you have never been to Guam, you might want to sit there and actually, figure out if they have McDonald's or not, to use as a landmark, because if you don't know where you're plopping your characters, everything your characters say and do are going to feel weird. Like, you don't want your character walking around a town they've literally grown up in, and they don't know anything else but this one little town, but they walking around it like, oh, there's the barber shop, and there's the this, and there's the that. Like, they've never seen it before. Like, no, unless there's a purpose, we're not going to point out every single building that they know in their hometown. Um, but at the same time, they can't be walking around not knowing anything about their hometown, because fun fact, one of my stories, I thought I knew. I had made the map of the town. And as I was writing it, I was like, oh, I didn't put like a grocery store in this town. So little details like that help for setting. Going into character, you can see how your setting brings your character to life. Because, if you have this, I don't know, milk maiden who lives in the farmlands of Farmlandia, then she should know everything about cows and everything about farms and everything about that small town where the farm is and all the farming stuff. Um, if you don't know any of that, maybe either A, reconsider your character's occupation because you can change it, or do a lot of research and make sure it's authentic, because with our characters, we want them to seem like real people. We want them to have a flavor and a spice that makes it their own. It's the reason why we keep making stories, because everyone that is pitching in with all their characters and all their ideas and all their backstories and all their wonderfulness, it resonates and it hits home. It's the reason why every Saturday until it is over, I will be very excited for My Hero Academia, because the characters literally have a full fist grip on my heart. So you want your viewers and your readers and your fans to feel that way about your characters. And the way you get there is thinking about the story arc and how it relates to your character's journey. Because if your character is the same exact person they were when they started at the very end of the book, there better be a book two. And even if there is a book two, your character better have changed a little bit. Because if Katniss Everdeen went into the Hunger Games and did not come out a changed person, why'd she go? Just just throwing it out there, not to, give a cliche at this point, cliche old reference, but as like the Hunger Games, I mean. Uh but it's true. If you're going to put your character through something as perilous and crazy as the Hunger Games, or like the Maze Runner trials, like, your character better change. Your character better evolve. The characters around them better evolve. Because to sit there and just be the same old dope, like, you could have stayed home for that. We didn't need a story for that, because a story arc is obviously, there is obviously the hero's journey where, they leave and they do the things and then the climax and then there's many other story arcs that you can dabble with. But for simplicity's sake, story arc, beginning, a middle, and an end. You kind of need that for every story. So in that beginning, middle, and end, you start thinking about what exactly is happening. And then you think about the character and it's like, oh, well, leaving home, they've never left home before. What is that like? And then you think about maybe your own experience of leaving home for the first time and try to relate to your own character. And that's how you make real characters. The theme comes out of everything we literally just talked about, because it's giving you that flavor and spice. You say cozy mystery, you're going to have a flavor. You're going to think of whatever cozy mystery. I never understand why I use that as an example. I do not read cozy mysteries, but cozy mystery just sounds like you're snuggled up in a blanket reading a book that's like Nancy Drew. I almost called her Judy Bloom. Nancy Drew, like a who done it, but it's not like, there's no like gore attached to it and it's not boring. I don't know. Cozy mystery just sounds nice to me. But like, it's very different than a thriller. It's very different than romantasy. It's very different than erotica. Like, you say these words and you have these expectations, whether or not they're true, you have this idea already stepping in. And that is the thing that I would like you to think about throughout your journey as a writer, because it's something that like I thought I understood, and then I really dug deep and I was like, okay, I get it, and then I had to dig a lot deeper. And once I got there, we understand now the importance of a theme, because the theme is the heart of your story, but it is also the expectation that someone is going to come in with when they go to pick up your book, if that makes sense. So if you have everything that screams like YA fantasy and you crack open this book and it is not a YA fantasy, you're not only going to have a disappointed and a disillusioned reader, and they're not going to come back, but you have misbranded yourself. And we will get into that a little later, because I got a personal story I'd like to share for when we get into the storyteller tips and tricks and all that stuff. But before we get there, the hook. The hook, it sounds like exactly what it is. Whether you're thinking of a fish hook or the hook that is dragging someone off the stage when they stink at a performance, the hook is something that grabs your attention. It's the reason why people leave with books in stacks, not just one, because you read the blurb and you're like, I need it. Or you go and you see a trailer and you're like, I need to watch this movie. It's the reason why people snuck into movies and did like a double feature, because there would be more than one movie playing and you want to see more than one movie, because they have all hooked you with their trailer. They have all shown you, hey, this is worth investing your time and money into. I cannot stress enough that if you are writing your story, I don't care what form you are writing your story, if it's not like, even if you're not physically writing it and it's like you're doing index cards of the scenes or whatever, the first couple of moments of your story, it may not be the very first thing you write. It probably will not be the first thing you write. But the first moments of your story need to capture your audience, your viewer, your reader, the person that is going to create your story into an animation, whoever is getting hold of whatever your story is, they need to, that person immediately. You know why? Because we have the attention spans of gnats. We have like 5 seconds. It used to be like whatever the elevator pitch was, like 30 seconds or something. We don't got that. We got 5 seconds at most, because micro content is so widespread, for lack of a better word. And to be sitting here like we are now, having long form content and you still listening to what I'm saying is rare. Because we have the ability to have an abundance of content. And if your content isn't standing out with its authenticity, not standing out to be ostentatious, standing out with its authenticity and its truth, and being like, this is me and I am here and you're going to invest your time and money into me, you need to hook them, you need to grab them. How you do that? You need to get to the action and you need to get to the point. Because if you don't know the reason why we're telling the story, and you don't know the reason why people should invest in the story, then you won't be able to sell your story. And I say that from personal experience. If you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what it is you're trying to sell, you will fall flat on your face. You will stumble. You will be looking at the other person like, because you don't know what you're talking about. So in order to hook people, you need to know back, front, sideways, and every little nook and cranny of your story to be able to tell it to others. So the final tips that I am leaving you with for the season are going to be a lot of personal trials and errors. That's the nicest way to put it. So because I am like 97% sure that I am not doing a video until like February, or at least a formal video like this, I wanted to leave you with some tips to use beyond NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. I know we're in October. But the next step after this would hopefully that you would be a part of the National Novel Writing Month if you are writing a novel. If you're writing a script, I would still encourage you to use the whole month to try to write your script, because to write a movie script is kind of hard. To write a TV script is kind of easier if you already know the story. But anyway, I'm digressing. The point is, these tips that I'm going to share with you, um they come from personal experience. They're kind of like big sister tips to all the young ones out there, because I have been doing the indie publishing game for 10 years. There's been a lot of lessons. This is not one of those success stories yet. Because I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I once was a I don't know, a failed writer, and then I became successful and now I make millions of dollars. No, this is not one of those stories. This is literally one of those big sister tales, like, mira, siéntate. I got to tell you some things before you leave, kind of thing. Um and some might say this is me airing out my dirty laundry, but this is, again, big sister talk of saying, don't do this. So if you are a writer and you are a novel writer specifically, or someone who uh plans on using Goodreads in any capacity, um, or KDP, doesn't matter what technically indie publishing platform you use. But I'm just gonna say KDP just so we could all stay in one lane, because there's like too many to talk about when it comes to indie publishing. So to keep this simple, the reason why I'm talking about this is because after you finish your first draft, you are going to be very excited. You're going to feel like you can conquer the world. And even after you revise it 3 times, you're going to still feel that way. You're going to be like, all right, yeah, I got something. It's going to be great. Don't leap and publish it. Don't indie publish your first draft. Don't do that. I didn't do that, but don't do that. Um, Take the extra mile to learn whatever publishing platform you want to use. I always like KDP because it's a good like starter, in my humble opinion. And like, take what I say with a grain of salt when I say this, because some people might be like clutching their pearls of like, that's so messy. But when do you do anything like, tranquila around here? Everything is messy. And I feel like, that Tina Turner song, it's like, we're going to do it nice, and then we're going to do it rough, because we never do anything nice and easy. We always do it rough. So, if you are at the place where you feel that you have a good draft, do not go and directly publish it. Why do I say that? Because we're going to take a field trip to Goodreads and show you what happens when you decide to trial and error in real life instead of trialing and erroring on the fly. So this is Goodreads. Oops. This is Goodreads. If you're not familiar with it, it is basically the hub for authors, fiction, nonfiction. It got like million trillion topics, genres, all the things. Please explore it at your leisure. It is a very useful tool for anyone that is a writer. I'm not entirely sure how it falls for script writers, because this is more of things that have been published. So think of anything that you would find at Barnes and Noble. It's probably in Goodreads. Why are we here? Why are we talking about this? Why am I narcissistically talking about myself? Well, because Goodreads, and I have to update this picture because how long I've been doing this. Will keep track of every single thing you have ever published, whether it is unpublished or still published or out of print or digital. It doesn't matter. You've added it in here. It will stay in here. Doesn't matter. Look, 3 editions. I feel like none of my books have just 1 edition, 2 editions. There are different editions of my books because I've had to tweak and learn, because we've been doing this so long that the tools that are available today to make it make sense, to make indie publishing seem like such a 1-2 skidoo, like, oh, why did you do all this kind of stuff? This didn't exist 10 years ago. So, to save you the heartache or the dumb foolery, I'm just telling you, if you publish anything, it will pop up here as your book and you can't undo it. It just is. It will be here. You click on my stuff, Crystal Cabaret. Move. I don't want to sign it. And this is the reason why I didn't sign in, because I want it to show like this is what is shown. This is what people see when they look at me. And not all of it I would want to be on here, because like this is not the correct cover. This got unpublished to get turned into this. This is not the right cover. This is the very first thing I published, and it has like all the people I love on it, and it just looks like, girl, what, why? And I don't want this to be you. I don't want your trial and errors of writing to be on display in this manner. I want you to have the cleanest slate humanly possible and not have every single thing you have literally ever written, published and unpublished, on your Goodreads page. The other thing is, if you're doing it through KDP, you also get an author's page, and you cannot necessarily control what they see as a top title, because it all depends on who bought what and who searched up what. And if at the time you were doing a whole thing for this coloring book, but now this coloring book is technically not in print, you're going to have this as like the top thing, and it doesn't even exist. The top things that you have up here will be based on either the order that you put it in or the popularity, but you will still have everything that you want and don't want in your catalog. And once again, even if it's out of print, there is nothing you can do about it. It's just there. I'm sure there is something you could do about it in like a long roundabout way, but in a short, concise, I can just delete it. The internet is forever. That is the moral of the story. The internet is forever. You don't want your debut as an author to have egg on its face. You never want the very first thing that people see and remember you as to be something that is a flop. You just don't want it. So the tips that I leave for you is to be confident. Do not publish until you're ready, meaning you need to go find some people to read your stuff before you throw it out into the real world, because you need to not only be looking for things like obviously the commas with the ands and the buts, because that's my biggest thing. You want like the T. Consistency on your story, all the bits and nuggets that someone who, whether they know writing or don't know writing, just get your story in someone else's hands, even if it is just one person, even if they read 5 pages of a, I don't know, 125 page script, because it will help you in revising. Revising is key. Excuse me, I don't care if you have to revise that thing like 50 times. It is helpful to be able to sit there and say, I have done this and read this and combed through this, and be proud of that, and then still see you messed something up. So revision is key, because even if you revise it 15 times, you may still miss a comma. Make your debut as your author self, your persona as a creative, persona as a storyteller. Shine. I don't care if you only have 3 things to share. Make sure that those 3 things are polished. They look cute. They look fantastic. You're not just throwing out whatever you feel like it, because as someone who just kind of throws out whatever they feel like it is not the recommended method. I like to do things trial by fire. That's just me. But I don't recommend it to everyone else. I recommend you trust your process, trust what you want and need of yourself to be able to show your truest and most authentic self, and be proud of all the work that you do. Celebrate the moments that you have. Even if you get to the end of November and you didn't make it to the end of your first draft of whatever story you're trying to tell, be proud that you tried it all. Be proud that you wrote any words down. Be proud that you even had an idea and tried to act on ideas, because everyone got ideas. Everyone got ideas just like they got opinions. And there are very few that actually go the extra mile to write them down, to flush them out, to try. So be proud of yourself for trying, even if you fail, especially if you fail, because you're going to fail a lot. That's the biggest, like, big sister tip that I could actually give you. You're going to fail a lot as a storyteller, and not every story is going to be successful, and it sucks. And it is frustrating when you see your story being this fantastic, amazing thing, and now you have to tell the world that it's this fantastic, amazing thing, and they don't get it. So I am going to leave you with a take-home exercise, the final one of the season. Make your outline for the story that you will be writing next month and begin creating a plan of execution. Take your time, use all the tools that we have on planet, off planet, all the things that are available for storytellers at this point is insane. So use everything that you can find, even stuff that is not connected to Storyteller Planet. Just use all the things. But in case we're the only thing you know and you have no idea where to go, we have a bunch of stuff. So we're going to go back on planet real quick. This is the spot where you want to be for Preptober, because there are daily tips here. And when November hits, there will be new tips. But we have tips from I had done in 2023 every month. I mean, every day, a specific aspect, I guess, that you should be focusing on for NaNoWriMo. And then for 2024, I just kind of put it all in one article because it just didn't make sense to do this again. I'm not a fan of repeating things. I like things to be fresh. So this will still be here, but it'll have 2025's updated stuff. I love how, like, you can see the change over the years of the logo. That just makes me happy. Anyway, let's say you're not even focused on National Novel Writing Month. You just want, you want to do something fun in November, and all the other things that you do for fun just don't seem like fun for some reason. This is our playground. We have comics, trading cards, Word Vomit Woods, which is the collection of all the Word Vomit stuff we have. This is our beta arcade. It's so tiny, it hurts, but it's fine because we have one game in it, and that's what matters. And then we have coloring pages that are coming soon, and I'm very excited about it. If you want to learn some things and fundamentals, like we said, are here, but you're beyond that and you have your homework help. Well, you got some stuff to read. You got some mini courses to take. There's some check-ins that you can do. And you also have the Myth Maker if you want to get fancy. If you feel like training, because who doesn't like to train their skills? We have the remnants of our writing challenges that we were doing this season. I want to update this. So if this evaporates into something else, I apologize. But for now, these are the story challenges that are here. If you are a support squad member, you get access to all of the previous weeks of the writing challenges, and you can find those in downloadables. If you want to just read some fiction, go to Fantasy Island, read the stuff. You want to get deeper with yourself, you go to Breathe Beach and learn about chakras, because learning about chakras is a fantastic way to start learning about yourself. And also something that is kind of new is the shops that hold main quest checklists and side quest scrolls. So the main quest checklists are basically themed checklists. So this one is specifically about world building, like the base of world building. Everything is in this checklist. The daily checklist is the basic storyteller checklist. But if you want like prompts prompt packs here for you. Each one is themed. So if you want cozy autumn, you want romantasy, spooky season, this is just to get your brain going. And always encourage you to join the guild because it's where all the fun stuff happens. And this is our community down here. I'm trying to go slow so if people with vertigo don't like yell at me. But like if you are part of our community, then you can be a part of our showcases and basically showcase your work and connect with other artists and storytellers. So yeah, that is all I have for you for the year. I'll stop sharing my screen now. And yeah, I will see you guys informally on the internet, but I will be back with homework help in February with whatever topic I choose for the year. Until then, be well, be confident, and keep telling stories because we need them. And even though the world is literally losing its marbles, storytelling is important, it is necessary, and it is fun. So I love you guys. I will see you in the new year. Bye.